All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us on our June 20th Michigan PR Group meeting. And we'll post this up onto YouTube later today or tomorrow. But in the meantime, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Hopefully everybody's had a good start to summer reading program. We have our kickoff at the library tonight. We're doing a tie-dye party, so hopefully it goes well. And it is my pleasure this morning to welcome, I'm just also admitting people as I'm so sorry for the pause like there, but it's my pleasure to welcome DJ Bond from TLN, and he's going to talk to us about marketing principles.
Yeah.
And also we get a sneak preview of the Michigan Activity Pass, which launches a brand new website tomorrow. So I'm so excited for that. So now it's my pleasure to turn things over to DJ.
Yay, thank you for the introduction, Kelly. So real quick, I'm DJ. I am the member engagement coordinator here at TLN. I've been in my role for about 6 months, so kind of new to TLN, but not new to libraries. So if I've seen you or interacted with you, hey again. I'm happy to see everybody today. Today I have a presentation on marketing. We're just going to touch some, marketing basics, things that you might help you to think about what you're doing, maybe things that you might have done. And then we'll get into showcasing a preview of a map as well. So let me share my screen. Give me a thumbs up if you can see the screen. Perfect. So today we're going to talk about marketing in libraries, because I think a lot of times people think that those two things don't always go together, and they do perfectly, which is why we have groups like this. So what is marketing? I think everyone has a different concept of what marketing is and what it can be. I always like the second definition, the total activities involved in the transfer of goods from a producer or seller to the consumer or buyer, including the following: advertising, shipping, storing, and selling. Now, the big takeaway from this is that it's a definition focused on marketing, but when we take that and focus less on a good and more on a service, that's where you start to see marketing functioning for libraries. So a lot of these are things that you might have already done for your library or currently do, depending on your role, whether that's graphic design, advertising, PR, customer service. All of these things fall under our marketing umbrella, because those are the ways that we engage and market what we're doing to our patrons. So people who aren't you at all, because you're clearly in this meeting, so you have a leg up on everybody. But people who aren't you at all might be sitting here thinking, are we marketing? Are we marketing staff? I don't know. Yes, if you're responsible for any of the areas that we just talked about, you are helping to market your library. And for some of you here, you might be the only person responsible for doing that, which is pretty, big hands to have. Now, you would never say this, but this might cause some people to panic and think, oh man, what am I supposed to do? Well, don't panic. Understanding how your role functions in the library can also help you to understand what marketing can provide for you and the tasks that you're trying to accomplish. And also, we're going to talk about some core skills that can apply to your library. You and your besties already all know that, though. Now, everyone who didn't know that, that's probably a sigh of relief coming on, but you all knew that. So, you're good. So you might be asking the people who don't know that, like, are you ready to learn now? You and your besties are already ready to learn. And now they've caught up to us. So we're going to talk about 7 marketing principles. These are what we would call the marketing mix. And these are key portions of marketing that your institution might want to think about. And I talk about each of these, and the definition kind of comes from a business standpoint. And then I talk about how those tools apply to libraries themselves. So the first being product or service, patrons are looking for at the library. So from a library's perspective, think about what kind of services you provide. Those could be, your reference. Those could be the materials, the physical materials that people come and check out. Those could even be, some of the things that your library specifically does that others don't, whether that's, maybe a make and take kit or something specific to the area that you provide that other libraries don't. To enhance this, you might want to do research or a survey on your patrons and find out what they like and what they don't. Spend more time focusing on the things that they're enjoying, and maybe spend less energy on the ones that they aren't. Price is also a big thing. What do you charge for, if anything, for those services and products? Now, for libraries, we're pretty cool. We don't really charge anything outside of, what we collect from a millage. But, if there is something that you are charging for, how much do people have to pay in order to get that service? How does that compare to other libraries? How can you keep that, equitable in that area? A couple other areas include place. So where your product or service is offered, that can be a physical storefront or even just a digital environment. So, your patrons, obviously, as you know, are not just at your library. They're out in the community. They're out doing things. So thinking about where you can meet them where they exist, whether that's, just in, the adult area of your library, or whether that's, out in the community, in the downtown, or maybe in the neighborhoods. Promotion, I think, is the most common one that everyone thinks about when they think of marketing. These are, your advertising, your social media posts, your displays, your posters, all of those products that you use in order to market your, your activities, your events, everything that you're doing. So think of all the channels and methods that you're using. It's always good to assess, like, what are we doing really well? We post on Instagram once a week and we get like a ton of likes, right? And maybe what aren't you doing well? Like, okay, we're trying to, put out posters for our events, but everyone in, our library comes out with a different theme and you can't tell that they're all a part of the library. Think about that and how you can, continue to push the envelope in what you're promoting. People would be the next. So the people that you are selling to, but also the people that you are trusting to sell. In this case, we're not talking about selling, we're talking about providing, services again. So who are you relying to be the front face of your library, right? So your circulation staff becomes really important. What kind of training do they have? Marketing isn't just, making a lot of posters and things like that, but it's also making sure that when you come up with a poster for an event, you've provided a lot of that information back to the people who are going to get the questions that will get asked about it, right? So making sure that, your front faces are also well aware of what you're doing too. And the last two pieces being the process. So the process that you're taking to do all of the services that you provide. So usually in this case, we're talking about, supply chain, but in a library's case, this could be your physical material supply chain. So getting things ordered, processed, and on the shelf, or it can just be the process of someone going through the library and using services. So, how many steps does it take them to get to a book, then get to the checkout, then, get the materials, or even ask for help. So how do your regular tasks incorporate marketing? Do you give people bookmarks that, advertise some of the events that you have going on? Or do you, provide places for people to stop and see what else they can, achieve or get from the library throughout their steps as they go through this process? And how can you promote during the process itself? Packaging is the last one. I always say, in this case, we would be talking about like materials, that you're packaging itself in a marketing standpoint. But from a library sense, you don't have to package much, right? But still think about what you are packaging. So I always go back to those make and takes. How are you putting things inside of your make and takes for people to receive, and then also learn about something else that you're doing, right? So you've got, the super cool like knitting kit that you just put on display. Do you have an advertisement for maybe your knitting collection, or maybe a knitting club that you just started up, or an event that's coming up? How can you use what you're packaging itself to help market your services? Maybe the ones that are relative to what you're doing, or just ones that are coming up in general. So another thing that I want to make sure that you all have is a SWOT analysis as a toolkit. I love a good SWOT analysis because the whole goal of this SWOT is an acronym. It stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. If you use this successfully, you should be able to turn everything into a strength that you can take advantage of. So here's an example of how it would work. So let's say, and strengths and weaknesses are internal. Your external are your opportunities and threats. So, strength could be, things that you're doing well. So like, I'm really good at making sure that our programs are staffed and run smoothly. A weakness could be things that you're not doing well, or resources that you're missing. Like, we're really good at making sure that our events are staffed really well, but we don't have a lot of money. So, the staff that we use kind of has to, backfill if something else comes up. So they might get pulled from an event. Opportunities being things that you can take advantage of, outside of what you're currently doing. So something that you have the opportunity to look for or start doing. And then external threats being, what could come and get you in the middle of the night, right? What's looming, what dangers are ahead that you might need to prepare for. So let's, do this in a hypothetical standpoint, right? For this imaginary library, their strengths are that they have an awesome staff. They're using Canva, so they're designing really cool content, and they have foot traffic, so they don't have to worry about, trying to get people to come to the library. People are already coming. Their weaknesses, they don't have a lot of money, so they can't spend a lot of money on prints and brochures and, all different kinds of stuff. No one knows about their programs, even though people are coming to the library. And some of their collections just aren't being checked out. Some opportunities being advocating for libraries in the broader sense, training the staff, that's always a good opportunity, and reaching out to supportive businesses that would help their library. Some fun threats being, book challenges and any other anti-library initiatives out in the horizon. Patrons that might get frustrated and drain time away from the staff, and just overall apathy towards libraries. That's always a threat. You don't want people to become apathetic about what we're doing. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to take your weaknesses and turn them into opportunities. So we're poor really translates to we need to do fundraising. So what can we do for fundraising programs? Maybe put together some fun events. Do we have a Friends of the Library? How can we do something that will help us fundraise for what we're doing? No one knows about our programs. It's time to do a newsletter. It's time to do posters, ramp up social media if you haven't already. And people aren't checking out our collections. Maybe it's time to do some in-shelf displays, right? You've got some space because you did weeding, so you have some extra space on your shelves. Come up with some creative ways to display the content that's already there. You also want to turn your threats into opportunities. So you take your book challenging and other anti-library initiatives into a support your library campaign. Maybe you decide that you want to get people in your community really excited about supporting their library. You get them buttons and, you know, stickers and things just to make sure that they're really excited about supporting their library and can kind of bring down that climate. If you have frustrated patrons, you know, maybe it's a good time to do a survey, find out why they're frustrated. Maybe it's something that you can address. Maybe it's something you can't, but at least you know why and you can empathize with that. And apathy towards libraries, it's time to boost outreach. So if you have an outreach department, or maybe you are the outreach department, right? It's time to look at ways that you can get out into the community, make sure people know that the library isn't just a place, it's a people and an organization that helps people outside of the physical building. And then you take all of those opportunities, which now we have a lot, and you turn them into strengths. So see, these are some of the ones that you can, you know, take advantage of based off of what we have as opportunities. One I kind of snuck in there was advocating for seniors as an opportunity. So maybe it's time to provide event materials to your senior centers. If you are looking to do training, make sure that you incorporate training your staff on marketing events. So that way it's not just you doing everything. You also have some support in that area. If you have an opportunity of, you know, supportive businesses, reach out to some businesses, see if they'll help you, whether it's financially or just being able to spread the word of your events. You know, helping the friends to fundraise, as we kind of mentioned, talked about that. Maybe if you don't have a friends group, or your friends group is really struggling in this area, maybe you come up with a creative way to have other people help you, or, you know, assign someone to help you in that area. Newsletters and posters and social media, you know, crafting a monthly newsletter, in library posters and social media schedule to help you to do that. You know, taking that opportunity of the in-shelf displays and focus on a collection display that you can do, maybe rotating out each month. For some of you, this is something that you regularly do. You know, and then for support your library campaign, we talked about creating buttons, you know, surveying patrons, and then, you know, working with your outreach team or with yourself to provide handouts at some of the things that you're doing to, you know, let people know what kinds of activities and support that the library has. In general, though, that's just an example of a SWOT. The best SWOTs, this is what I want you to take away from it. You want to turn your weaknesses and threats into opportunities. You take your opportunities and turn them into threats, or into strengths, not threats. So your opportunity is just something that you haven't taken advantage of yet, but you can. It does take effort, obviously, to turn it into a strength. But, you know, as long as you have an analysis, you can take a look and see what you need to do to move you forward, and then maybe assess later, do another SWOT analysis and see, okay, we started this, but it hasn't fully moved into a strength yet. We're maybe still just at an opportunity, or we did this and now it's a strength and we're really excited about it, or this new threat came up and how can we address that? Troubleshooting. This is where, you know, you're in the middle of it and you're trying to think of creative ways to address something that is giving you a problem. So I took some problems that I've had as a librarian and tried to look at how you would address those. Common problem number one being no one's coming to my programs. You know, I sit here in this meeting room and no one wants to play board games with me. How do you address that? So here's some solutions. You know, all of them work uniquely different for each library, of course, but, you know, for one person, they started a newsletter so that way they could let people know what their events were each month, or each week. TLN does a weekly newsletter, which is very aggressive, but, you know, you don't have to do something that frequently, but as long as you're getting, you know, something out to your patrons to know, like, every month we're going to be letting you know what's going on. Another person made bookmarks with the events listed on them. So that way, when people came to pick up their holds, they would get an automatic, advertisement that tells them this is coming up. And people love bookmarks. So if you already have that in their book, they'd probably take it. This person updated their website just to let people know. You'd be surprised how many people go to your website. So, if you have someone to update your website, or maybe again, you're the person who does that, taking some time to, feature some of the really important events. Obviously that can be time consuming too, but it is worth it. And then another person gave posters to businesses. So maybe you made a simple 8.5 by 11 poster that someone could stick in their window of their business to let people know what you at your library are doing. If you have something big, maybe it's something for summer reading, maybe it's something, relating to a speaker, but kind of tying into, what that area might be interested in. Common problem number 2, half the town hates the library and the other ones don't know we exist, which is, always really fun to address. This one is PR, which is, again, why we're talking in this group. PR will help this problem the most. So one person worked with the local news to let them know what the library is doing. Maybe you have a really awesome story walk and, you want people to know about it, but no one's walked on it. See if you can get a press release out so that way people can, know that it's out there and what to do when it's there. Another person tabled at the farmer's market. Maybe you have a farmer's market or another kind of event that you could be at and answer people's questions about the library. I used to do that when I was in New Baltimore, and you'd be surprised. We were right next door to the library. How many people were like, that's a library? I didn't even know that existed. So that was why we tried to do that and make sure people knew that they could come there, and it was a library. Another person surveyed patrons to find out, why they weren't excited about the library in this case, what they could address and focus on to help provide a better, experience if that was available. Another person just increased general outreach. So, looking at where you can go on top of what you're already doing. Problem number 3, there's no consistency in the materials that we pass out. You've got a lot of different people working on a lot of different things, but nothing seems to be cohesive in that branding. Solution being branding. So these are, marketing things that you can help to establish an overall voice for your library. So one person established brand colors. You'd be surprised, like just the colors themselves help to identify this is something that the library is putting on, right? Another person created brand guidelines. So making sure that things from your logo to the colors to the fonts all have a specific use and case, so everyone can use that correctly. Another person focused on training staff. If you have this problem, you already have people who are really excited about letting people know about their events. So just making sure that everyone has the opportunity to get trained in what you're looking for. And another person just reviewed materials. Maybe you already have everything that you need and it just needs to be updated. And that might be an opportunity to help, make everything look cohesive. Problem number 4, I'm the only one who's able to do this work and I'm burnt out. I put a little asterisk here because you also might want to talk with a mental health specialist. Burnout is a real thing. It's not just because you're busy. It is a real thing. But this tends to be really common, of course, in libraries because sometimes you are the person, the only one. You're the Rihanna of your institution. So here's some ways that you can ask for help. One person utilized the friends of their library. Maybe you have friends that are really supportive and they might help you to put some of these things together. Maybe they'll just give you some funds to help, outsource some of it if you need help with it. Or maybe you just need to grow your friends too. Maybe you have some supportive community members that would love to get involved and they just don't know when the friends meet or how they function. Utilizing your friends will come in. Another person looked for new staffers or volunteers. Maybe you've got everything on your plate and you could really use a volunteer that comes in and just helps you, like maybe once a week or something like that. Or maybe it's an opportunity to hire another staffer to work and function in this area. Another person talked to us and said, hey, how can TLN support me in my library? Or reached out to your cooperative if you're not a TLN member, just to see what services your cooperative can provide outside of what you're already getting. And another partnered with local businesses. I can't stress this enough. Some local businesses are really just looking for a way that they can be a part of the community, and you can help by partnering with the ones that you're excited about and have good relationships with. You survived my presentation. Time for questions. Does anyone have any questions?
Say, and if anyone wants to pop it in the chat, I'd be happy to relay those questions on.
I'm also going to stop sharing so that way I can see.
I actually had a question related to social media, Facebook,
Sure.
Instagram, etc., that could go across all platforms. How do you keep yourself, and this might not just be for you, for anyone, but keep yourself aware of making sure you're hitting all the points that you should be hitting for promotion, whether it be your databases one day, your programs the other day, just kind of keeping yourself organized with all of that?
I'd suggest a calendar, like a social media calendar, if you aren't already using one, so that way you can kind of plan out when you need to post and what you need to post about. If you have things that can fill time that maybe aren't related to an event or something on a specific day or time, you'll be able to kind of spread that out through periods that you don't have timely events going on, right? If you have a lot of things that need to get posted during summer reading, that's probably a time that you can focus less on things like databases. But maybe in the fall you just have a few programs going on, you can focus more on content like that. That was a good question.
I've got a question too, DJ. You mentioned that TLN offers support. And as far as marketing goes, can you give us a sense of what that support might look like?
Yeah. So one of the things that we're trying to do right now, I kind of lean into the Canva share group. So coming up with a way for us to share resources on Canva. If anyone has a Canva account, that's become really useful with libraries, especially because depending on how your library is set up, you might be able to get it relatively cheaper. But the one thing that I will say is that what we're trying to do is create a space where people can share materials and easily get those templates and turn them into something else. So that's one thing that we're trying to do, and more things like that. I'm always here for bouncing off ideas, but also larger initiatives like MAP, for example. That's where I'll actually give you materials to use and market with. Other questions? Otherwise, that was a great segue into showcasing MAP. Let me just show my screen one more time. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
So this is the new map site. This is currently going to be launching tomorrow. Actually, it should go out late tonight. So
Hooray,
what-
hooray. I'm so
hooray.
excited about the new look.
I'm glad everyone likes it. So it's going to have a lot of, a lot better functionality, let's just be honest. But we have one of the cool things, in the search is actually how it functions. You can kind of select your drop down, but it also now does autofill. So if you're like, oh, I'm at Rochester, you can start typing and it'll autofill it for you. And then when you do the search, it'll default to 25 miles. You can see some of the popular destinations. You can also filter by keyword search. So maybe you're like, well, I'm really only interested in seeing parks or things like that. You can switch to the keyword search. And then when you go to click on a venue, you can see the venue details. Also look at the pass options. So maybe you want it for Wednesday. And then it'll request your library card number. And then additionally, look for your name and information. And then after that point, you'll be able to either print the pass or download it as a Apple Wallet or Google Wallet doc. So if you want to keep it on your mobile, that'll work as well. You can also expand the search radius so you can see, multiple more venues throughout the state. As you can tell, we have a lot of map destinations all over. But additionally, it does function really well on mobile. We were focused on that as well. Also, we'll have, our surveys and of course, more resources with tutorials and ways that people can become a destination. If you know a destination that's near you that maybe you want to tell them about map, you can, have them come to this page and fill out the information. So that way we can get in contact with them later. But in general, it's pretty straightforward. And we're really excited for it to launch out coming tomorrow, coming to your library. The biggest thing that I will say, if you haven't already gotten this message in my emails, make sure that you are not directly linking to the Plymouth Rocket site, which is the one that defaults when you go to any map URL. As of tomorrow, it will still, like if you go to the Plymouth Rocket site, it will still continue to work. But all of the passes will be coming out of this one now. So make sure you go to activitypass.org, which is going to be the new URL. Questions on this?
It looks so much better. Thank you. And I'll chime in on the chat. We've got, looks great. Huge improvement. Yes, looks great. Love the new look. Huge improvement. Thanks. Will we be getting the new promo material is a question about it.
Oh, good question. If you haven't received promo material, please let me know. I will send one in rides. Everyone should have received it. So if for some reason you didn't, just let me know.
And we do have a question too, or is there a chance that a how-to video for patrons on how to use this could be posted onto social media? And then
So actually, we're going to have a tutorial on map itself. So under resources, Local Hop's still working on the tutorial, but it will go along with the launch and how to use it.
Perfect. And FYI, Ypsilanti has not received their material yet, DJ.
Okay, I'll send that over today.
Okay. And just to double check, since we're seeing it on a full screen, it is mobile friendly now?
It is mobile friendly, yeah.
Yay.
So if I
was
inspect the
using old
page,
site on
and
my phone this past weekend and
just
was
refresh that.
like waiting for this new site to come.
Yeah, so it is mobile friendly. And this is how it's going to look on the mobile when you do a search.
Okay, cool.
And we tried to make sure that every venue had either a logo or an image, so that way patrons can kind of see what they're looking at. I know that was a thing with the old map.
In here, I'm gonna put the website.
Congrats, DJ. That's been a huge project.
Thanks.
All right, I just put the URL in the chat, and then we also had a few other people DJs say they have not gotten theirs yet.
Okay,
so
let me
it's,
go back to the chat.
Yeah, it's
Hold
in the
on.
chat. So Leelanau, Hastings, Muskegon area, Ferndale. And Philomena has a great question. Is there artwork that's ready to pop onto social media?
There is, yes. Hold on.
Yep. I know we're asking you to do a bunch right now.
So if you go to the map page, we have a nice little countdown. Yay. Under here, we have promotional materials. You'll see like our postcards and bookmarks if you want to print those out too. But we also have all the logos and whatnot that you can use if you feel creative and want to make anything as well.
And can you post up what that URL is?
Oh, sure can.
Thank you.
There we go.
Great. I am so excited for it to go live. I personally think that Michigan Activity Pass is a wonderful program that is far not utilized near enough.
Yeah, it's true. And hopefully, as we continue after launch, we'll continue to see MAP just continue to grow. So really excited about it moving into the next chapter.
Yeah. I think it'll take off, and I'm so glad it's ready for the summertime here.
Any other questions or anyone else who hasn't received their materials? Let me just make sure that I got everyone in the chat who said they hadn't received it. Okay, I think that's everybody. Well, okay. That's all she wrote.
Well, thank you, DJ. This was wonderful to hear your presentation on marketing and to see the map preview. So
Yes, we're all really excited here today. We're gonna be prepping for launch all day. If you have questions or anything else, feel free and reach out. And otherwise, just get excited for the new map.
does anyone have any questions for DJ or the group in general?
I'm curious how everybody's summer reading is going.
Ooh, I always love summer reading stories.
Well,
Not
fingers
bad.
crossed for us. We kick off tonight with the tie-dye party.
Bel Air Library our growth is incredible. We can't keep up with it. 4 years ago before COVID, it was 67 and we've just topped 98 and we're only in our first week. So we've got some great programs and for a tiny 98 kids when we only have 115 in our elementary school. So
Wow.
we're excited, but the school cooperates. We did our kickoff at the school. Everybody could come whether they went to school or not. The principal there has made her summer reading program our summer reading program. So it's a lot to be said if you can get the school on board.
That's great.
That is a wonderful collaboration. And I'm so excited to hear that you have, 2/3 of the kids participating. That's awesome.
Ours is going really well in Grosse Pointe. We were able to go back into the schools this year and make our presentations about summer reading, which we haven't been able to do since before the pandemic. And we've already got 1,000 people signed up. So we're thrilled. It's going really, really well. So keeping my fingers crossed.
Yeah, and we have people in the chat saying that, it's going well for Leela. They just hired a few employees few days before the launch. So that had to be a fun test. Make sure you can do it. So, and Philomena their adult kicks off tonight and youth on Saturday. Good luck to you.
Plymouth is more than doubled our numbers over last year too. We're over almost to 1,100 participants so far, which is just terrific and kind of crazy to see that happen.
That is
We're scrambling
great.
a little bit on the prize front.
Those are they are problems, but they're the good problems to have. Hopefully at very least your friends group could help you out and be like, we need more prizes.
Yeah, we're actually doing a different approach this year in Plymouth. We're not giving away tchotchkes at all. We're doing all coupons from local businesses as our rewards this year, and they're for all ages this year, which is also a change for us. So everybody gets a reward every week, and it's all local business coupons. And I was apprehensive about that because I remember my own kids were always kind of grumpy when the prize was a coupon, but it's having really positive response. People are pleased. So yay.
Well, that's great. I know, especially if you can get the ice cream place on board. My kids, Mary, I'll tell you, because I'm a Grosse Pointe resident, my kids want to sign up for the Grosse Pointe Public Library just to get their Wally token, which is our local ice cream place.
Yeah, we were lucky to have that be our reward last year. Or I mean, last week,
Yeah.
Last week's reward. So. Some of our rewards are smaller local businesses, but some of them are like the biggies, like Buddy's Pizza came through for us, and this roller skating rink and the Zap Zone and places like that are a little bigger scale. So if anybody, has places like that around you that you haven't asked yet, they really give out those coupons readily, and they can be another, handout to kids if you haven't gotten any of those yet.
Thanks for that tip. Anyone else have any questions for the group or for DJ?
Real quick too, for those of you who haven't received materials yet, I will be sending them via rides. So just if you are the person who processes the rides, or if you have another person processing the rides, just have them keep an eye out for it. It should come in a nice little box.
All righty. Since I believe that concludes us for the day, unless anybody else has anything. So thank you, DJ. So I know this is an extra busy day with the launch happening tomorrow. So I thank you for carving out this hour for us still. I wish you success on the launch tomorrow,
Thank you.
or at least that any issues happen only behind the scenes. So
Right.
thank you, everybody. Our next meeting is going to be on July 18th at 10 o'clock. So I hope you can join us back then. We're going to have a roundtable meeting. We'll talk about, hopefully we'll all be able to brag about our summer reading program successes, because I love hearing about those, because what boosts one library boosts us all. So thank you, everybody. And I hope everybody has great days and continue with summer reading success.
Thanks, Kelly.
See you later.
Thanks, DJ.